Hi guys, welcome to FaceTime Alive.
Hello.
It's Friday night, it's the weekend, we're all excited. Well, I am. What about you?
Yeah, I'm excited. Looking
I've
forward
got
to it.
some games coming up tomorrow.
I get to a wedding tomorrow.
Oh, you
My
are?
normal
Yeah.
gaming buddy. Yeah, it's my normal gaming buddy's wedding. So
Yeah,
I
afternoon
don't play
Scott.
Warhammer. They'll get married. Priorities.
Are you gonna play Warhammer after the were you gonna play a game? Like rather than like Dance with the Bride, you and Brad just basically play a game. Everyone
Squirrel off and write some
watches.
lists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine, right? That could be the shortest marriage
Normal.
ever. It's like
The
some off to
introverts
play.
guide to weddings.
Like yeah,
There's too many people around here. Can we go into that corner and roll some dice?
yeah. Can we just disappear into a back room and push the models around?
Exactly. my vessel is fruitier than yours.
It is. I'm a little bit dehydrated. I've had a busy day, but yeah. So tonight we're gonna go into list building and techie places. It's a little bit free form. This I know that we've been talking about Slaanesh and Soulblight a lot, but as obviously I'm playing Soulblight and you're playing Slaanesh, is kind of relevant. And we've had announced on Warcom today that the FAQs will be live on the 3rd of July.
Oh, really? I missed that one. Cool.
Yeah, so it's been put in the Discord helpfully, which was nice because I was out all day, so I didn't see it. But Drew
This
put it
isn't a
in there.
pre-recorded video.
No, we are completely live. So, hello, we're live. That's it. We could literally do anything.
If I were to unprofessionally nibble my apple, I could, do so.
Yeah.
No.
I just yeah, and so we're gonna get into lists, but first, I thought I would embrace my inner narcissist and show off my hallowed nights.
So
yeah,
I'll handle it for you. Russ has painted some stuff in a style that is different to his normal style, and it looks really lovely. How did you find it?
It was good. Honestly, I was picking Les's brain a lot for the colors because it's like these are kind of, I'm not gonna say they're like heavy metal style because they're not that good, but they're sort of like classic colors because I've always wanted to do hallowed nights, and you know, it's kind of, I was like, well, I'll paint some out the box set because I really like the Vindicta models. It's actually really deceptive how much detail they've got on them. So like if you look at like the back shot, they've got like leather straps on all their armor, like it's real armor, like holding it all together.
Forearms,
yeah, blazes, and I was like, what's all this? Like, you know, surely they just get like forged like a tin can and they don't need anything like that. I don't know. So like yeah, so I'm just showing them off because I'm really happy with them and how they come out. And I spent ages up at the basin and I tried to I stole your weathering technique on the feet with Doomball and Mournfang from
good tech, isn't it?
It's so good, yeah. And I use the Vallejo metal color. These things for like super metallic, which are awesome. I went a bit back and forth, not really, because I didn't have a recipe, so I was just kind of like, I'll just see what works. I'm a bit unhappy with some of the blue highlighting, but it's fine. It's fine with there.
It's hard. How did you? So let me guess. Where is it on the shield? Because that's really hard to highlight. Yeah,
I think the problem. The problem is I kind of do like these like sweeping lines. Like on this one, I've got these like little like lines. But I've seen people, what they do is they literally edge it all the way around. But that edge is actually like almost in a recess.
Yeah, it is.
And I kind of think light would reflect further in. And I thought, well, that doesn't really. I've seen a couple and they literally paint around all the edges of all the panels and they look like they got like glowing man boobs and like back plates and shields. And I'm like, it just doesn't look very good. So on my standard bearer, I think I've managed to mask it in every shot because I'm not happy with it. I can kind of see it here. I've kind of done it all the way around this bit. But on here, but I don't know. I was a little bit unhappy with him, but the more I look at it, actually, I'm quite happy with how it's come out.
Often, if you've been pushing yourself for something different, when you finish, I think you tend to be hypercritical. And then often my thing is, especially if I've been painting late into the night, I go to sleep thinking like, oh, at least it's done. And I wake up and I look at them, not exhausted, not, squinty-eyed, not hunchbacked. And you're like, actually, I'm quite proud of those. They're quite nice. If I had an army, it would look, bloody amazing. Which I guess is where you've come out at.
Yeah, and like what I'll probably do is do a little, like we've done them before, like little desk videos where I just show them off and talk about how I painted it, but we don't really do step-by-step tutorials. Byron's more the man with that on Artis Opus for step-by-step tutorials.
If you'd like any step-by-steps on them, I do have a huge amount of love for this set of Stormcast from Dominion as well. I think they are an absolute painter's joy. So they will be getting some love on the AO channel, definitely.
I really wanted to paint some Crawl Boys as well, but this unit took me way longer than I thought it would. I mean, I had to slot it in between like all the content and other stuff that I've been doing, so I kind of like been doing a bit, grabbing hours where I can.
Yeah.
But I think one of my favorite things is just the plume, the red plume, which is really bizarre because it was the thing I was most unhappy with until I put Lamia Medium over it. Thanks for your advice.
Hey, no worries, dude. It is a proper hat. Do you want to explain to people where you were at before and where you wanted to get to and why you used it?
Yeah, so I used like the standard sort of GW recipe where you go like Mephiston, I think it's Evil Sun, and then Fire Dragon Bright, and then Orange, whatever it is. Then I glazed it down. Luggereth Orange, or whatever it's called. The really like white orange colour right on the tips. And then I glazed it down with red tone, the old army painter wash.
Yeah.
But it's matte AF, so it made it look really dull. And I was like, oh, I don't. Yeah. I think the problem is the armor is so shiny that I was like, it looks really dull. And I was kind of thinking, how do I make it glossy? But I don't want to alter the color. I don't want it glossy, but I don't want it I want it more satin. And you sort of suggested that painting Lamia Medium over it, and you were like, test it on the back underneath, and I just was like, nah, fuck it, and I just slopped it all over it. I thought, fuck it, let's see how it goes, because I'd lost patience at that point. I was like, I just want it done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super happy with them. The gold is literally the silver, but with contrast 3 times over it, then highlighted. So
which contrast?
Yandon yellow, 50-50 finned. Then Snakebite leather, 50-50 finned. Obviously, you got to wait for it to dry. And then Wildwood, 50-50 finned in the recesses. And then I've highlighted it back with the metal color gold. And then I've used Monument white gold, which I really like because it's basically silver and gold mixed. So I just use that rather than mix it. It's a really good color because it's literally just.
Oh yeah, that paints it pretty gorgeous.
Yeah, so. Yeah, so I've done some hobby, which is unusual.
Do an army?
I want to.
Or you...
Okay. Because it would be nice to have a Hallowed Knight army. I've got Gardas ready to go, so he's going to be the next thing I paint for them.
He's your boy, isn't he?
I love Gardas so much. Just because...
Are you going to do him standing out? Because, oh my god, it's been a while, guys. We actually... It might be a surprise to some people who've been watching us recently, but we're really into our painting.
Yeah.
We've been concentrating on the rules, and we know our rules, and we're good at gaming. But yeah, we are properly into our painting as well, and especially for me, Russ has always been good at both. But I took a while to warm up to the gaming, so most of my accolades previously were for painting, and Russ has got about 1 million painting trophies as well. From when he was
but back from the world that was before it got blown up. So since when Age of Sigmar started, I dry brushed all my corn grey and put blood and lava on them, and then I've basically just done army table level stuff. So so I'm like, no, I'm super happy. It's Hallowed Knights because they're the best. Only the faithful.
But disagree. There's so much choice with the Stormcast hosts are amazing. Tell you what, look, let's
you've got some cool stuff as well, haven't you?
Should we go on a fluff dive for a second? So
oh no, what are we doing? We're gonna lose all our subs.
This is gonna surprise. Sorry guys.
We'll get to tearing face with dice in a minute. Sorry.
The number of not if we talk about my games. Anyway, spoiler. So I have here a Stormcast Eternals Battletome. So many of the Stormcast color schemes are shit hot. We've already sworn, it's fine. Are wonderful. So Russ has done Hallowed Knights, which are here. Then you got the classic Hammers of Sigmar, which is like the goldest of gold ever. I quite like my gold to not be quite so yellow.
Great album, Eldar. Should say.
In the future, but yeah, you got Celestial Vindicators. That was Les's one. I think Anvils, which are the black ones,
it's because they've got the best rules, isn't it?
They offer, have they?
They do. They're the ones that shoot in the hero phase that everyone was playing. Yeah.
Okay, well they've got a huge amount of opportunity for chipping and weathering.
I can't wait to give Les shit when he shows off his Hammers of Sigmar models and he's like completely class traded on his Celestial Vindicators.
Nah, there's some amazing ones. So if any of you are wondering whether you should buy Stormcast books, this is one of the main reasons I would pick up a book for an army that I don't play. Actually, I think those pages are amazing, and it's a bit of a shame they don't happen as much as they used to. So.
Do you know what the irony is? The irony of me painting Stormcast unit, right? So the only other Stormcast model I finished was the sample Stormcast that come on White Dwarf when the original Age of Sigmar come out. Yet I have won 3 tournaments with Stormcast.
Never with your own.
Not with my own or unpainted, right? So, because the early days there were a couple unpainted events.
You've changed armies so much. Yeah. I am going out on a limb here, but I guess that means they are second only to your Khorne in the amount of gold, like first place trophies you've won with a single
Stormcast is my best performing faction, and I don't own any painted
models. It is.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, like I don't know what it is, but they just seem to like gel with me. And I didn't play Vanguard Wing before anyone gives me shit, because that was broken. And I didn't play Sequitur Spam, Hammers, Gabriel Shore Charge, or any of that bullshit. So no, I super like the new aesthetic. I think I really struggled with the old aesthetic. Like, it just didn't sit with me. These ones chunky. They weren't, well, I mean, we're talking fantasy, but they weren't really like very nice to paint. I don't know if you felt the same, but the old ones.
I disagree whether they were nice to paint, but I don't disagree that these look better. Especially if you're after doing something fast, I think the old ones were phenomenal, and I thought part of the design spec for them may have been to make simple models that are perfect for a beginner.
Which they've just thrown out the window. They've gone up. If you want to get into this game, no beginners here.
Yeah. I mean, let's we're doing loads of asides, but before we jump into it, I do think the only criticism I have for Dominion, and it's an extremely valid one, is that it and the new edition are not new player friendly to any degree whatsoever. And I would argue it's well, obviously we used to have 4 pages of rules, right? So by definition, anything is going to be worse. Yeah, I don't think that Dominion or the new edition are very good for onboarding new people, which is a real shame, and it's an important thing in the hobby. So yeah, just as a note, that the model's push fit is being pushed to its extremities as well. It's not push fit models in what they used to be. It's models that have pegs with just as many parts. So yeah. Also, I missed a comment. Is there any chance of Artis Opus doing Unestra's armor? There may well be, and there may well be a chance of Artis Opus doing her wings, because I think they are asking for the D.
They always ask. She's definitely begging for the D.
Begging for the medium D.
Medium D. Well, so it rules you out there, doesn't it? Sorry. Me as well, but for a different reason. Right, so we definitely off the track now, so we should probably get back on track.
Yeah, do let us know in the comments though, guys, as we've got so many lovely people tuning in live. If you would like us to talk about this side of the hobby more at any point, we're super happy to, and we're actually fairly well qualified, which probably at this point comes to a surprise to a load of you who are recent adopters or fans. So yeah.
I haven't painted anything nice for myself for a long time. This is probably the first thing I've done. I've been doing like some commission work, but this is like the first thing I've done for me. So it's nice to get it out.
Look wonderful.
Thank you very much. I know it's a bit kind of like narcissistic to look at my models, but I thought people might like them. So
That's all right. I'm just gonna start flashing Space Marines around. No, I'm not.
yeah, don't do that.
No one needs to look at that.
I know. I'm not competing with you. Right. So what should we start with then? Should we? I mean, maybe we should start with Yoan's list. Should I do the Soulblight Yoan list, or do we want to go in deep dive Slaanesh straight away, or maybe the chat?
Let's jump into let's jump into Soulblight or Slaanesh. People can pick. And is that the Johan who's in chat talking about it being the perfect time for his 7-year-old daughter to start? I would recommend like 400-point games and just not including the majority of the rules of the game.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Genuinely.
Yeah.
Make the board look nice, run people towards each other.
That's the problem of having a shared account as well. I think I shared something of mine before, and everyone was like, "That's really nice, Les." Like I showed my high elves off that I painted in 7th edition. People were like, "Oh, Les, the purple's so good." I'm like, "They're not Les's. They're mine." Fuck. That's why I put my name at the end of it, because I thought people are gonna like get confused. Cheers, Baron. I appreciate that. My Maggot King are one of the things that I did in the end times, which won me painting at Blood and Glory, and actually got some Golden Demon pins at Warhammer Fest when it was at the Rico Arena, which I was super happy with because they were gaming pieces really. So yeah. So thanks, guys.
All right. Well,
let's move off.
Let's jump in then. So
let's do.
Okay. So the Soulblight list then. Just before you jump in and give the kind of the spec that you were given by Johan, just to let people know what this is, someone has gone to Russ for specialist advice, which Russ is particularly qualified for, especially in Soulblight, and he's been given some objectives that he's going to tell us about, and then we'll just work out how we got to this. Coming up after this, though, we're going to talk about some particularly off-the-wall lists.
100%.
So this one was someone else's theme, and then after it, we'll do our themes. But this is a super interesting theme, and I think it's probably not going to be a surprise to anyone, especially once Russ has toned it and added his unique twist on it, which is really techy and I wouldn't have thought of and is awesome. But this is going to be one of the lists to be in the game, in my opinion. Variations on this theme, which is 5 or more units of Blood Knights. Doesn't really matter.
Spam Blood Knights. It's not that techy.
Yeah.
Firstly, I just want to say thanks to Yoan to actually allowing me to show it, because we did have a conversation.
Yeah, cheers.
Obviously, it's a champion Patreon tier, and Nick's also signed up now, so thanks for that. And the idea is that every month craft you a list, and then you go off and play games, ask for feedback, maybe tweak it or get a different army, whatever. If you've got an event, so it's a kind of like a coaching light is what I'm doing here. And the idea is that, it gets people inspired, gives them an idea, and I quite enjoy doing it. So I appreciate that. So thank you for letting us share it for a start.
Can I say that we're preparing some goodies for them? I said it now, haven't we?
What, the goodies? Like the
we're preparing some goodies for the champions to thank them for
not just the champions, but the chosen as well. That's the right name. Yeah, the chosen, which are on the Patreon tier. So I've kind of sneaky peeked it, but I'll talk about it. So I'm going to get some bespoke leather dice cups made, which will have your name on it. I've been talking back and forth with Carl, who's making them for me. They will be handmade, so they're not mass produced or anything. They're made by a guy literally a few towns away. He's doing me one as a test. Once I've got it, I will show it off, probably in the inner circle chat, because that's where the people are that will be getting it. I will then probably
going to call those people the circle jerks.
Yeah, we are jerks. Yeah, we're gonna have a circle jerk about the dice cup. Yeah. So quite excited about it. I'm gonna keep it on the down low because we need to work out if it's feasible. Because obviously, if I want to have a lot of them, he's gonna have to make them all. So I need to talk to him and say are you okay to make me X number, and then I can sort of limit the tier, because I don't want to promise something and then not be able to do it. Yeah. So we're testing blues on leather.
If we can't work that out, though, we will work out something else.
Oh, you will definitely get some cool merch, but this is the first thing I'm kind of looking at and see if I can do it. So whatever tier you're in, whether it's champion or chosen, you get, after a period of time, probably 6 or 12 months, depending on what it is, there'll be some cool merchandise coming your way, which will be exclusive, so won't sell it outside. So if you want to sign up, hey JPick, long time no see. So if you sign up, then it'll be cool because you'll get that. But I'll sneak peek stuff as it happens, but it's a bit early doors yet. So but I appreciate people who've signed up already. So
yeah, thank you so much for the support, guys. It's genuinely pretty awesome.
And I'd be remiss if I don't mention the competition. If you sign up to any of the Patreon or YouTube members, it's only like $2.99. The YouTube is fairly cheap. If I say so myself, but it's like, or you can give us a coffee. The link's like there. And what we'll do is you'll get entered into a prize draw. We're giving away Dominion, some £30 vouchers, some objective markers, some Facehammer dice. So those prizes will be dished out. At the moment, we're probably looking at, we've got about 40 people, so it's quite good odds you're going to get something. So if you sign up before the 15th of July, you'll be chucked in, or if you show the donation on Ko-fi, that counts as well. So yeah, anyway, let's get into some content because we're just selling stuff.
All right, let's get into the all important red notes. What was your objective then for this?
Well, basically it was just a Blood Knight Castellite army. So I was kind of thinking, well, I mean, it's fairly straightforward, right? I mean, your Blood Knights are great. Take lots of them. Now, what I decided to do was, because of the way formations work in Age of Sigmar, where you need sub-commanders, and if you only take like Vengorian Lord, Vampire Lord, and Zombie Dragon, you don't really have any sub-commanders to unlock the Warlord Battalion, because Castellite have particularly strong artifacts.
Yeah.
And although like some people are like, oh, 1-drop, but the thing about the 1-drop is you kind of need that if you want to protect yourself from alphas. But because in the new edition you've got stuff like you get command points before you get a go, and you can use all out defense, you can kind of mitigate that a bit. What's nice about
it's not a squishy army either, is it? It's
no,
not like Slaanesh where you could get tabled turn 1.
No one's gonna no, they're not gonna table you. I mean, like, no way. Like, it's just not happening. So
no,
what I've done, and it's a bit sneaky, I've put in 2 Nighthaunt heroes to unlock the Warlord Battalion. Okay, so that's the idea. Now they could be Banshees, because basically a Banshee, I think, is 80 points. So I had the Lord Executioner because he has a thing where if you're a hero within 3, he can make you -1 to hit. So he can combo charge with one of your units and make that hero worse. The Karen Wraith is basically rubbish, but it's just, you just need a hero that's cheap, and he's the cheapest one. The Lord Executioner also gets an invulnerable save of a 5-up and a 4-up ignore rend. So he actually becomes fairly tanky, and he's all right in combat. So I think the 2 Banshees gives you the scream, but not as good in combat. It's whatever takes your fancy. The Executioner has his day. Hi, Paperboy. I'll get it right. I'll get it right at one point. Guten Abend. You've got your Vampire Lord and Zombie Dragon with the Deathlance with Rousing Commander. So this gives you you've got different options here. So Rousing Commander, when you pop it, allows you to get the buffs on your army as if you've killed stuff. So I think you get the damage and wounds, I think. Something. The two buffs that you get from Blood Knights. So I like that one because I kind of like, you can go in aggressive before you've killed anything, get the buff, kill stuff, get the buff anyway. So it's like, it's kind of cool because basically Castellite when you kill stuff, they get a benefit for the rest of the game. That gives you the benefit.
It keeps them fresh every game as well, which is it's quite nice, you know. Depending on what you're fighting, they get better at probably killing that type of thing again, or being more resilient in that type of thing, or reaching that type of thing. So
yeah, and I basically said here you can take the other trait, which is reroll charges and run. Actually, there's one in the core book which is called Battle Lust, which gives you runs and charges. There's also a run and charge one, which you could take, and then you could also take Pinions as a spell, but you could also swap that out for Flaming Sword if you wanted to buff the damage. I'm pretty sure you could cast it and choose the, I don't know, probably needs to clarify. It says the caster's weapon, and the model is is a wizard, and the I don't know if you could put it on the dragon's claws because it's got 7 attacks. So if you take the 7 attacks and dash 2 to 3, I think there's something in the rules about
anal about
characters'
it,
mounts.
I think
so.
there is, but as it is the effect of a spell that specifies pick a thing, I think at this point you can. If that's clarified in the future, fine. But
there is. I needed
to
check it.
That isn't the case.
I haven't checked it. It's in the. It's something I need. I've got it on my list of things to look into because I think there's something about mounts don't get. But I think it's specifically artifacts and traits, and this is a spell.
Yeah.
So, which I know is a bit weird. You flaming sword the claws, but flaming claws, that's cool, right? It sounds the same. Flaming sword. I think it's called flaming weapon, but in my head it's flaming sword. But
it's no weirder than having your tail on fire or something, so it's fine.
It's a zombie dragon. It's not meant to be realistic. Come on, like let's be honest.
I love that. I love that Johan. So he messaged me about a chat that I made in the Discord when I was talking about something else, and I didn't realize it was him. Hadn't put 2 and 2 together, and then he said that you'd made him an army. And he asked me about the army that I faced recently, the Blood Knight one, and I said you have to. I said the reroll charges is non-optional in my opinion. And he was like, oh, Russ didn't do that, but he did include it in the notes. So it's just nice to know we both have seen the merit in that. I think it is insanely good. I wouldn't take anything else ever in this army.
There you go.
Period.
Billy Bob Joe Brown spells and command abilities affect the mounts. So flaming claws, son.
Yeah.
Well, it's called flaming weapon, right? And the claws are a weapon, so it's fine, right?
You can make yourself a Charmander. It's fine.
Yeah. Is that a Pokemon thing? I have no idea.
Of course, it's a Pokemon.
God. Stop it. Right, just
in
done now. See you later, guys. I'm
right.
calling. No, I'm kidding.
I'll stop being discursive, which means distracting in conversation.
Then we've got Fragment of the Keep artifact, which is one of I like the defensive artifacts. This is just an AoE bubble, -1 to wound, melee weapons within 6, and it's units within 6, not models. It's just great.
It's
so strong. You basically can set him up, flank him with 2 units of knights, put the Vengo Lord behind. You're going to be at -1 rend, -1 to wound. They can go all out defense on one of the units. And then what I've done is, because we've got Warlord, I really like the Gravesand Shard. Now this is you pop it once per battle, start the hero phase, and that's either player's turn. And you crush the shard, and you get +1 to Deathless Minions, which is your ward save for all units within 12 of the bearer. So this to me, yeah, I know, David. This is my anti-alpha, because you can basically go 5 ward. But then if you don't need to use it for that, when you get into combat and you just go right, they've all got a 5+. It's just so strong. I really like it.
Can I jump? Yeah. Can I jump in and say something about this? Is that a start of hero phase ability?
Yes.
Yeah. So there is a huge strength to start of hero phase abilities if it is not your turn. So it's worth covering. So if it is when it's your opponent's turn, if they've got start of hero phase stuff, particularly if it's stuff that may or may not go off, like on a roll for 3+ this happens and your guy gets overclocked, or anything like that. When it's their turn, they have to do all of theirs first. It's not you go, I go, or anything like that. So your opponent might have 3 incredible start of turn abilities and be 1-drop and be going before you. And if those don't go off, you don't need to use this. And if these do go off, even though yours says start of hero phase, your start of hero phase is after your opponent. So I think there is a huge amount of stuff in this edition which benefits you when you are on the defending side when it is your opponent's turn. And this is one of the best examples of something that is exactly like that. Like if your opponent's stuff doesn't go well in their turn, or something fails, like a madness test or other stuff that you would have, you can just decide to not use it and be patient with it. So worth covering, because there's plenty of things that work start of turn on a 3+ that can make something particularly good or faster, or anything like that. And you get that information from your opponent before you decide whether to clock this, even though it says start of the hero phase.
Yeah, I know, Billy, but that's what made me question it because it says the caster, but then the model technically is casting it, so it's like it's not like they don't differentiate between the two aspects. So I don't know. It's I think raw, it's fine. Ray probably not. Ray is readers rules as intended and rules as written is raw. For people who don't know. So nothing really that clever about this, but just 5 units of really efficient, really good units. So just 5 Blood Knights times 5. And I'm basically saying that you probably take 1 or 2 of them off the table, because they're so good independently ambushing. You know, and again, because you're playing Calasti and you've got the or Castelli, sorry, and you've got the shifting keep where you can put units off the table, that also protects them. And then I've got Fellbats. So just because Unleash Hell, they work really well. Like just what we've covered before. People know I love the Fellbats, so they just charge in and go for it. So what I've actually done here is said that you have your Warlord Battalion, and then you have your Battle Regiment. So this is all 1 drop. So you do have quite a low drop army anyway. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drop. So it's not too bad. You can do some stuff. So you could basically, if you don't want the artifact and command point, because Warlord gives you a free command point as well. It's backcountry stubble. So you can go for
Blood Knight stats. Have just been asked in the chat, sorry, which is probably an important thing to cover. Why they're so resilient.
Yeah, we could talk about them. Let me just get them up.
So they are on a 3+ save. They have 3 wounds each, which already makes them incredibly resilient. And because of their size, they're not restricted in terms of coherency and stuff like that as well. Stand them on terrain, they are on a 2+, which is ridiculous. So deployed well,
Boom.
Your army with use of a couple of abilities could almost all be on a 2+ save, which is grim.
Yeah, so you got, like you say, you've probably just covered it all off. But you know, 3 attacks, 3 run 1 damage, +1 damage if they charge. And because of their rule Riders of Ruin, they can move over you and out of combat, then charge you. Because it says that it's a normal move, it can pass across models, depends on what their wounds characteristic is, and if they've got a mount. But then on a 2+, they take D3 mortals, but you can't pin them because basically they can always move out of combat and charge something else. So they're just so strong.
It's really, it's that's the bit. You know, anything with these stats would be good already, but you could pin it in combat by being techy and getting it on an edge, or stopping it from pile in or something like that. You cannot do this with Blood Knights. So basically you have to kill them until they're dead, or they're going to run away and then hit you really hard. And of course that means that the majority of the time you're getting your charge bonus. So actually how their stats appear as far as cav units go, it's not like 2 instances a game of you getting to charge. It's as many as you want, really, which is a significant buff to them.
Yes, David, there is, but it's a spell. It's only 1 unit, so it's you could get a -1 to hit bubble with Neferata. I actually like Neferata a lot, but I think if you're playing Legion of Blood, because they're vampires, they key off onto your other units as well. But you also get reroll 1s on your Deathless minions. So when you pop Grave Shard, you basically got a 5+ ward, and you reroll 1s, which is really strong.
40-something. It's like a 40% chance, which is really good.
It's just solid. Yeah. And it's everything within 12. So I know Kragnos gets stuck. It's fine. I don't write the rules. I just abuse them.
He's a clumsy boy. He's destruction.
Yeah, I always get annoyed when Sylvaneth units stamp on my monsters. Like, what's that about? Like, I'm just gonna stomp you, but you're a little hunter and I'm Archeon. Yeah, I'm stamping on you. What? Shut up.
Stamping on it, and you care about it on a 4+ or whatever it is.
I know. You actually does something. You're like, what's that about?
I distracted you while you were loving the Fellbats, I believe.
Yeah, so Fellbats charge in. They're fast. They keep up with you. They can screen your characters, so you can put them around your character as a shield. They obviously can. I thought you could bring them back, but they don't have the Deadwalker keyword for some bizarre reason, so you can't recycle them. But anyway, they can charge the missile unit to stop unleash hell on your army as you go in. You can put units off the table. All your units are absolutely, all of them have got a free up save standard. Like, it's just, apart from the bats, it's like, that is just nuts across the whole army.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it? Free up save, or even in the case of the baby characters, ignore rend. So
oh yeah, they don't really matter.
Everything is resilient. Yeah.
So I did say here you can basically go for double battle regiment for a 2-drop. Then you could drop the 2 Nighthaunt heroes and give either like a unit of Fell Vargeist or 2 more Fell Bats or 10 Direwolves, or you could take a Triumph and an Endless Spell, or 1x3 Fell Bat and any hero at 160 points or less. So you get a lot of options, depending on what you want to do. So you can just fly around. It's true, they're dead flyers, not dead walkers. That's, yeah. That is probably the way that conversation went. So yeah, it's a bit like the malignant stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but that was the list that I crafted for you, and I think he's played a few games and had success with it. So yeah, super appreciative for that. But I think it's cool. I mean, it gives you an idea. Like, it's like a list, but it's a list within a list within a list, because you can play games with it, switch things up, change some stuff, see how it plays, see what suits your play style. So that's that. So should we
get reps in with?
Sorry,
I was saying it's a good one to get reps in with in a new edition, because you can learn, your 4 scrolls that matter, or your 3 scrolls that matter, really, being 2 main heroes and Blood Knights, and then you can just crack on with learning the new game. So I think it's a very, very good initial army, as well as just there's nothing you can do that will stop this army from being a contender at any tournament. I think it's on the border of worryingly strong, having played against it myself twice now, or close to this list.
I think Blood Knights are a little bit cheap.
They could, are they? Yeah, they could be 210 without breaking like a sweat.
220, 210.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bloodstoker whipping Archeon and being like, run faster, or a blood. Yeah, it is. You can still do it, man. It's still there. I mean, the only problem is it's wholly within 8, and like Archeon's base is basically 8 inches. It's not, but you have to literally be stood next to him, like, whoosh, go Archeon, and he's like, what are you doing?
I imagine just the Ragnar just stamp on you before that, and it'd be like like a horse like swatting a fly with its tail or something. You are welcome, Draw Mecha. The in-depth analysis is what we like, so that's what we're here for. Super solid army. I was chatting to you earlier. I think there's actually some gaming exercises you could do to get even better with this army.
Yeah.
I think, which are really interesting, but maybe
we'll talk about
another time.
Obviously, like for grand strategy, it's fairly obvious. You just take hold the line, because you've got 5 units of battle line with a free up save that are amazing. So it's, I mean, you could play around with it if you were trying to be ballsy, but yeah, just take that. So it's Castellai Soulblight. I think the Soulblight book is amazing. Such a triumph. Love it. So speaking of amazing, greatly written book. You're dead-eyeing me.
There's nothing wrong with the writing. It's just anything with the number. Basically, this is my life. It's like, can talk, can't count. Is how I would describe the current situation with my book.
You love it though. You're a glutton, a gluten, glutos.
Glutos for punishment.
Glutos for
so
punishment.
Are we going to? Are we jumping to the Slaanesh then, or do you want to?
Then we could jump back to Soulblight, or should we stay Soulblight until I do that? Let us know. Let us know, listeners, while we're waiting Slaanesh
for time to catch up.
Yeah, we got a little bit of time now.
I'll cover what a high concept list is. So anyone who likes high concept movies or stuff like that, they'll be familiar with the term. It's like you pick one thing and you go deep on it. So, often a high concept movie would be like, we've got this crazy idea about a new world and this is going on. So a high concept list is, you might pick a unit, you might pick a mechanic, you might pick a phase, and you just go balls deep on that aspect. And it could be, like balls deep on MSU, multiple small units. You could run a 20-unit army, and that could be your concept. It could be resilience. It could be one war scroll. This is actually quite close to high concept. If you wanted to go, you could have 7 units of Blood Knights if you wanted to push the concept even further. So yeah, that's what a high concept list is. It's just picking one thing and going with it. Oh, we've got a.
I love that. So how would you counter the list, Joanne? Don't answer it. I'll take the fifth. So Vengorian Lord turning up in a lot of lists. Do you think Dr. Evil is an auto include? I like him a lot. I think the price point
a lot to affect the table.
He's 100 points less than most of the other stuff. He's not as good as that, but he's like a lot of the other stuff is like 120 to 40 points or 400 or 380, and there's nothing in the middle really. And he sits there nicely. I think Radical the Beast is a bit of is one of those models that people sleep on, and I think he's really good. He's not as good as a Vengo.
He comes with his own dudes.
He comes with 10 direwolves, and he can buff you with +1 attack. So, So,
and he's not a slouch himself. Not super slow. Yeah,
we've got Soulblight. We've got Slaanesh. Cool any more? I think we've got more with Soulblight at the moment.
Well, technically, we're on 2.5 Soulblight requests.
Counter it with 6 units of Blood Knights. That's a good answer.
That's
play better.
Solid one.
Is that right? Does that work? Shoot the heroes. That's what everyone says, isn't it? But with like caps alternating. Shoot the heroes. No, it's a strong list.
I know how you could. It's really incredibly strong, and the thing that this has going for it, so to answer and keep Johan happy, a lot of the ways to counter this are then countered by the fact that you can keep some units off the table, and they're not crappy units, they're Blood Knight units. So, if someone rocks up with 9 Storm Fiends of ridiculousness and shoots the hell out of what you've got on the board and some units get wiped or a character dies, you still then get to pop up and gank that unit from various sides with what's left of your army and 2 elite units that are completely untouched that can come on, almost anywhere as long as there's not a ring of dudes around the board. So it's incredibly strong. It really is very, very strong. All right, it's Soulblight. The tables have turned.
Luminous Gravelords, not yet. No,
not yet.
We will cover a lot more factions. I think it's just that because the FAQs haven't dropped, and Soulblight's a nice, neat one because War Scroll Builder works, and it's my faction, so it's my platform. No, I'm kidding. And Slaanesh is interesting.
It could absolutely, this could absolutely ruin KO. I think it's kind of a KO nightmare in my opinion. They could probably take down the characters, but the Blood Knights perform without need of characters pretty incredibly.
The Gravesand Vial just like neuters that shooting alpha, like, and it's so fast. It'll be in you. It's good. Yeah, anyway.
All right, so Russ, you had a high concept in mind, and you went through a tiny little bit of a journey to get there via Skeleton Warriors. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so people who've tuned in before with my Manfred list that I spoke to on the last live show, I was talking about I had like a zombies and I had like that kind of stuff going on. And I was like, I really want to run into the Deathrattle area. I kind of want the Skelly Bobs. And I was trying to like use Deathrattle skeletons. And I was like running into reinforcement woes. So I was like, if I run 130 Skellies as a screeny, put it out, be aggressive, absorb, and then have some like Graveguard counter, but Graveguard is slow, right? I was like, is that better than just taking 4 units of 20 Graveguard? And I don't think it is. So because Graveguard become battle line, I was thinking, well, why didn't I just take loads of them? Like,
because you don't need to reinforce them multiple times to get the same level of resilience. You can just
but also they actually do damage, right?
Right.
I don't know what Kotal's Claw. I think that's a Seraphon thing, and they should be in the old world with everything else that blew up. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not a Seraphon player, so I don't know.
You couldn't have picked a tome that we're less knowledgeable about.
No, sorry.
That is the one that we know the least about. So
I I have spoken to a few people to come on and do shows about other factions. There are some that I'm very familiar with. A lot of Chaos Death factions. I'm not so much. Some Order, but not so much. Some Destruction, but not really. Seraphon is one of those ones I've never really touched with anyone's, let alone my own. So, and I don't really want to. Although I did play them on Warhammer TV when they launched, I think. Anyway, that was the old book, I think. I forget. So, where was I? So, I thought...
you love Graveguard.
Graveguard, right. So, my other list, I had a lot of... I think these are like... I like Mortek Guard. I like Mortek Guard in 20s, right? These guys, the benefit in Soulblight, especially Legion of Night with Manfred, is the buffs you can get. So... this is going to be a little bit similar to the other list I wrote, so I'm just going to chuck it in. I haven't done this before, so I'm probably going to put it in and go, I haven't got everything I want, and I'm going to be upset, but this is kind of the process, right? So I don't want Nagash, that was a slip. I meant to click Necromancer, honest. Just that's like a Freudian slip that. You go to put Nagash just lands, you know, you're like, I wonder if you could do Nagash and White King and then Graveguard. Anyway, we'll do that in a minute. So, I'll put the auto include Dr. Evil.
Oh, thanks, Johan. You're most welcome, dude.
So, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been super fun chatting as well, so I appreciate that. Ironically, the Battle Force, mate, where is it? I've got it. Where is it?
We'd be buying it if we could.
I'm not making it up. Look, I've got one. To be sat on my floor doing nothing with it.
We should have Gloomspite covered. We can cover Stormcast between us, and I think both of us are interested enough in IDK that we can give that a really good run as well. Yeah, I will be sticking with Slaanesh, not exclusively, but they're definitely going to be my first army.
I'm over points already. Oh, see, I put Manfred, a Vengo, a White King, a Necromancer, because I kind of think this is like your minimum stuff. So like, and these units are Graveguard. So,
at the risk of really, really rocking the boat, do you in this list do you need the Vengorian Lord as much?
No.
He doesn't do as much in. I know he's great and he's fun and he's cool and it's a nice model, but do you? Because that opens up a lot of points, and I don't think it affects the board as much as some other stuff. You could also drop one of the units down to a 10 in addition to that, and then
what you could do is make one a 30, which is what I was gonna do, and drop the other one out, and you give one Great White Blades, the other two have shields.
Yeah. Billy Bob, it's not eels, mate, it's turtles. We're both quite a fan of the turtles, so I wouldn't be surprised if that featured in a list that Russ and I were to write.
Sharks, turtle, thralls,
pretty good for
eels,
points,
and king. I think the Achillean Court.
David, please, David. Just drop a brief version of the list in now, and we can discuss it at the end if you like, and definitely still post it in the Discord.
Yeah, if there's any lists that you want to just discuss and you post it in the Discord, it gives me a bit of time to read up on it and stuff. Like, I can have a look. But yeah, Fellbats and Corpse Carts, right? You nailed it. So
predictable, if nothing else.
I'm a broken record. Come on. It's fine. Which one is it? It's Brazier, isn't it? That's the one that does the most one to wound. Now, I like it twice. Sorry. So good, I want a second one.
I mean, if you're going to put them in any army, dude, this is the foot slogging Deathrattle army to do it in. So I think you just got to be unabashed with it and rock it in there.
No Fellbats. Where are we going with this? This is me just doing some wankery, so I do appreciate that. This
is fine. This is how it has to be done. You have a concept in your head, and very often that concept comes out at 2,100 points, and the shuffle begins.
Does the Vampire Lord add much? He kind of does. I like him a lot.
His command a bit. He's still got the Vampire Lord
Plus one
command
attack
ability,
command
hasn't he, on the
ability.
foot one?
I've got.
Yeah.
Let's go techie. Let's put Radagar the Beast in.
And take out the wolves.
Yeah, but then I'm just over. Could drop the White King down to a foot one, which will, because I'm 90 points over, and I could drop a corpse cart. So
yeah, I think that sounds fine. You're going to have some skeletons guarding home objectives.
I'd just go for 3 just a 20 grave guard instead of 130. I think that mixed. I've got 50 points left over. So
sweet. I mean, this list would wear a Triumph very nicely. Viva Wounds.
It's +1. I think it's +1 to wound.
+1. But yeah, it is +1 to wound. Yeah, still great on them.
Endless spells. What we got?
Oh, Jay. Greetings to Deutschland. Next week, I will test my new Slaanesh list versus Lumineth. Would want your opinion regarding the list. Pop it in, dude, in shorthand in the chat, and I will be happy to give you my opinions on it. And I
just rubbish. Play someone else. No, I'm kidding.
just complain loads and don't even bother putting anything on the table and testing it. No, that is not the type of channel we are. We're gonna test something into the ground, even if it's an uphill battle, which it definitely is, especially against Lumineth. Ouch.
Well, Cogs is 45.
Yeah.
So
and movement
I think it adds
hurt
quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, it does, because you could.
The casting.
Yeah, because Death Mage.
You get an extra spell, and they've got so many good spells. Because
I've
seen people.
You have a Mortarch and a Necromancer, and they've both got access to the wonderful lore, but they can't pick 2 spells from it, can they?
How so?
You have to.
Yeah, but the War Scroll spell is good.
Ah, okay, cool.
So you've got like Van Hel's on the Necro, and you get Death Mages, but you're like.
Oh yeah, you want one? Yeah, no, that's great.
It's a good, and even like Mystic
Hel's
Shield
and a
Arcane
debuff
Bolt is.
Oh yeah, dude.
Good, right? So.
Absolutely.
I really like the Shackles. Why are they so expensive? Because they're busted.
They're really good.
I mean, they're really good. Nothing is broken in Age of Sigmar. We do job really well. So, yeah, add 1 to charge rolls, which is useful with a movement 4 army, pretty much. Wizards can cast 1 extra spell while they're in 6, and that's all wizards. Now, I have seen people. What they do is they take the Arcane Tome on the Necromancer to give him a second cast. Slang gores. I love it. Sorry, just got distracted.
Yeah, Stubble. That's what was making me laugh. Side-eye in his comments. No, Stubble. Stop it.
So, it's not really... This isn't that unique, but I'm going to take Warlord because I've got Necromancer and a White King and Manfred, or whichever, doesn't matter. And I'll put the Corpse Carts in there, because why not? Then the Graveguard can all go in the Hunters of the Halflands to make them all immune to Monstrous Rampage.
Right, yeah.
Then I'll go for second enhancement, probably Artifact. Let's go for... it doesn't... War Squad doesn't let me, right? But he's not having Lord of the Vampires. I can get in the bin. Manfred is going to take 1 of the Death Mage spells, whichever one it is. Probably Fading Vigor or Overwhelming Dread. Necromancer will take the other one.
I guess you take the short range up close and personal version with Manfred, and then you take the longer range one with the.
I think they're both 18. Yeah. One's attack, one's hit. Okay, so
yeah,
I really like Morbeg's Claw for the hit. You could also give him the Arcane Tome, which lets him a wizard knows and can cast an extra spell, so you get to do more casting. Which I actually quite like.
I think it's a good list for it. Melatron's pointed out you could drop the White King on foot, and then you'd have the points for Shackles. So you could drop him 2 on foot, and then you'd.
I like the horse though. I like the poke of it. Because he does mortal wounds on the charge. He's just for the extra points, like 15 solid. Points. He's so good. Yeah, you're right though. Yeah. You're right. Now I always take Unholy Impetus. And let's go a quick look at the... Let me just double check the artifacts. Because I used to put artifacts on the Vengo, but I don't have it anymore. I wish I could take Castellite ones. I think, you know, because I've got 2 enhancements, you could go for the extra spells. And the artifact could just be... Because I'm trying to think, looking at them, I'm like... Because it's going to go on the White King or the Necromancer, right? So Morbeg's Claw I like, which is the +2 to cast. Everything within 12.
Yeah.
Which...
Necromancer.
Yeah, I'm just actually looking at that. You could actually give that to the White King. That's weird. I wouldn't, but that's weird. Because you can't move, shoot, charge. So, like, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
But...
Why would you have him on a steed if that's the case?
It's like...
a bit
It's so funny. It's so weird, though, isn't it? Like, the White King, like, I'm going to do the claw thing, and the Necromancer's Chisman. Like, it'd be on the Necromancer. Come on. So I like that.
You could 5 up ward the steed to make it a particularly resilient 7 wound hero.
Yeah, it's probably what... I don't really know. I mean, you could make him a wizard. You could give him the arcane tome.
That's not bad. But he wouldn't have access to useful laws.
Yeah, but you still get arcane bolt, mystic shield, and can cast cogs.
Yeah. Yeah, you could. I think with a 5 up ward, he just becomes like a low key beat stick. Like he's going
it's hard to look
nowhere.
past
He's quite
the amulet.
resilient.
It really is.
Yeah, it is.
Curse Blade's thematic, but no, thank you. Yeah, I think if I so you got a couple options, right? So you could go spell lore, stick the arcane tome on the necromancer. Don't have the bonuses to cast. You could swap a corpse cut out for the +1 to cast if you're worried about that. I like the double minus wound bubble. Just me. Chromatic cogs is cool.
And it's cheap.
Yeah. And then the artifact you wouldn't, obviously that would be your artifact. You wouldn't have anything on the White King over the Unholy Impetus, but I think I like this one better. So Morbeg's Claw and the Necro, Unholy Impetus, and he'll have the amulet. It's not on here because it's not updated yet, but we'll just call it, I don't know, that one. It's not really the right one, but anyway. He would obviously take Fading Vigor or whatever. So, actually, I don't think it was something someone said in the Flaming Weapon that people talk about. I can't remember who it was, but someone said, I think it might be Alapala, said about that actually mathematically, like, because the bolt, you can do D3 mortals in the combat phase. Like, it's actually, like, the damage from that is probably better than, because, like,
I think unless you've got, like, 8 or more attacks with the weapon that you're talking about, and it's got a decent chance to hit and wound, there is a very good chance that's the case. It's also more reliable against super heavily armored things, or, you know, anything like that.
Obviously, there's nothing for 45, but we'll just put a Purple Sun. It's not Purple Sun.
I think it's right, yeah.
You'll be at 5 points less. So, how does it play? So,
you pop it up on screen.
The list.
In its complete glory, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I'm trying to predict ahead of time here, because I'm watching it 20 seconds.
So Manfred, if he kills a model, everything within 12 gets +1 attack. White King, he's got Unholy Impetus. If he kills a model, everything within 12 that's summonable gets an extra attack. Radakar the Beast, if he charges, every Soulblight thing within 18 gets +1 attack, but that also affects Manfred. The army is +1 to save on the White King and all the Graveguard in the first turn. I think the corpse cuts as well because they're Dead Walker. I think it might just be Deathrattle.
Named cannot. Archeon Argo.
What is that?
Nah, lots of asking whether Manfred can take Flaming Weapon, but no.
I don't think he can.
He currently can't. Maybe something that would be FAQ'd or changed, but
it's very confusing.
Those spells
let's wait for the FAQ.
Characters.
I don't think it's actually wouldn't a spell you would take anyway. You take Pinions or you take one of the Death Mage.
Yeah,
Pinions
his damage is fairly good.
I still don't think you take Pinions because if he's so fast by teleporting around.
Yeah, smaller board as well. less
Yeah.
call for it, especially on someone that speedy.
You can set stuff off the Dead Walkers as well. So yeah, the whole army's at +1 save apart from Manfred in the first turn and the Necro and Radakar. But there you go, most of it, all the stuff.
Yeah.
You've got a way to get +3 attacks on your Graveguard. Bubble, AoE bubble. You're at +1 save in the first round. Manfred's command ability is +1 to hit, +1 to wound, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. And also that Radakar's attack, like some of the attack bonuses benefit the non-Graveguard stuff a little as well, if not all of them, right? So
yeah,
Radakar and
Radakar
can buff Manfred, and then Manfred would go first, so wouldn't.
Yeah, so use this command ability at the start of the combat phase. If you do pick a model with this command made a charge that turn, add 1 to attack Soulblight melee weapons by friendly. 1 to attacks for melee weapons for Soulblight Gravelords wholly within 18 till the end of that phase. So basically, like, he can charge in, and if you pop that and you've got 2 Graveguard units and Manfred in range, that's a super amount of damage.
That's insane.
He's also 12 wounds, 4 up save. He's got 6 attacks. He gives you 10 free dire walls. He's -1 to hit even from shooting. He can do mortal wounds. He heals. He can run and charge. So he's not rubbish.
Can you link that stubble, what you've mentioned, please? Can you link it in the chat?
I think there might have been a Slaanesh article. I don't know. Yeah, so he's really cool. Manfred does his +1 attack, and he's got his AoE +1 to hit and wound for Soulblight Gravelord units wholly within 12. So that affects everything.
Yeah.
If you put
units of Graveguard in there.
If you put +1 save on Manfred at like Mystic Shield and you put all out defense on him, you can just be a mega aggressive. You can literally launch him into the middle of their army. He will pretty much kill most things. They counter charge.
Heal himself a bit as well.
Yeah, and then they charge you.
Yeah,
and then you go, nah. See you later.
Bye.
Because his ability, which is Mortarch of the Night, start of the combat phase. If there's models within 3 of enemy units, you can remove the model from the battlefield to set it up anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 from all enemy units. So you just nope, I'm out. And what's really nice,
it's insanely good,
is because it's at the start of the combat phase. So one of the things you can do, right? So in your go, you've buffed him. He goes out. So you got your army here in a blob. He flies out, attacks, right? You kill stuff, you're fine. And then they have their go, and they charge your Graveguard, and they charge Manfred. And then, obviously, they just retreat is what they should do. But if they have anything in combat with him, you literally just go, right, I'm going to teleport him behind my Graveguard. But so they're within range of his buff, but 9 away. So as long as your Graveguard are kind of like within a 3-inch, like, cause they're sort of, you've got a depth to them that they can't, you can set behind and be 9 away, but wholly within 12, you've got like a 3-inch play. So you could do something with that. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. But obviously the Necromancer can Van Hell's the Graveguard. So you get to go twice. The Graveguard are summonable, so they come back, you can heal them. You can put them through grave sites. If you set them off, Legion of Night, you can set off the table. Yeah, I just like Graveguard. I think they're cool. So
I think it's great. Kind of different as well. Isn't it refreshing to look at a Horde army and be like, oh, nice to see one of those, not seen them for a while. And, you know, I say Horde loosely, 60 dudes isn't nearly as much as we would have been talking about in the past with Hordes. So,
but in OS3, that's quite a lot of models. Like, I know, and Graveguard are not rubbish. Like, when they're buffed as well.
The effective wounds of that army is pretty insane, isn't it, really, when you think about it? You've got decent saves that are going to come back to life. Very units that receive a buff and do extremely well off it. You know, +1 save on, which you get anyway in the first round with a Graveguard. You know, +1 save on anyone in this army is pretty tasty, really. And I think just things like that White King rocking in with his 5 up after save and a good save, you're going to be able to be sneaking, catch people out, and going twice with a fully buffed unit of Graveguard is probably going to be enough to scare most things that I can think of.
Yeah, and the other thing you can do if you swap if you swap the 20 Graveguard for 30 Deathrattle, okay, you save yourself some points and you end up with 75 points left, which is a fellback or is a different end of spell.
Yeah.
Or you could take Radagar the Beast. This would be a bit controversial. And
is it a Horrorghast army? If people couldn't, you're doing so much damage and you're so aggressive that if people couldn't use command abilities in the Battle Shock phase and extra models were running and stuff like that, is this one of the armies that can benefit from it, do you think? Or
maybe.
Yeah, it's a pretty well-rounded list in terms of being able to get places, being resilient, having a lot of combat potential. So a lot of the endless spells would work fairly well with it. Having another poke wouldn't be bad because it's quite low on shooty stuff, or
you
very
could
low on
put
shooty
Neferata
stuff.
in.
Yeah.
So you could go Manfred, Neferata, White King on Steed, Necromancer, 30 Deathrattle, 20 Graveguard, 20 Graveguard, 2 Corpse Carts, and you got 25 points left over.
Triumph wounds, yes please.
But
yeah,
Neferata, because
you
you've
get
got
so many death mages spells. You're
Yeah.
like debuff central.
you get 3,
and she debuffs, and
but-
she makes something.
and she can kill characters in a 1-0, right? But what she
Yeah.
also does, like, obviously she's got a command ability, which is -1 to hit for everything wholly within, for melee weapons that target friendly Soulblight Gravelords wholly within 12. So you can literally like pop a command ability and be in a big bubble and be like, but she's also got a spell which is Dark Mist, which is ignore negative modifiers. So if you just think 30 Deathrattle skeletons, -1 to hit, -1 to wound, +1 save, ignore negative random modifiers, try and kill those.
Yeah, and then use what I think is potentially not being talked about enough at the moment as one of the most potentially broken things in the game on certain units. You can bring back people to life in multiple ways with Deathrattle, can't you? Because you can benefit from rally.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you can
Oh, you'd have
you've
to
got
do so much killing.
you would
to
never
get through
that unit. Honestly, you go in, you would even do stuff like you'd put the Graveguard so they're within 3 or whatever, so you don't have to activate them. Absorb as much as you can, activate, and then stand back up. Yeah, but you can negate more rend stubble, and I think they changed the crypt shields with skellies, because they used to be that, and they used to be but skeletons don't have an option not to have a shield, so it's not like they, or if you're talking about the Graveguard, then yeah, you're right. But why is this book in such a stupid order where they've put like characters and stuff all mixed up all over the place?
Oh,
like why are White Kings
on
after
Dragon
zombie dragons, but not after? It's so fucking stupid. Sorry, ran over.
Yeah.
So Crypt Shield is add 1 to
Vampire
save.
Lord about 2 minutes.
But the Skelly Wobbles, they've got a 5-up just normal. They don't have any bonus save. So you can get them to a 4-up save, ignore negative modifiers. And you're just like...
And then they...
A 4+ save, and then on a 4+ they stand back up. And there's 30
and they got
of them.
their 6+ after save. You know.
And they reroll the ones on all... they reroll ones on that.
Yeah.
It's 30 wounds. It's like...
It's 30 wounds that feels like 80 over the course of the game, isn't it?
And it's a unit that, if they get wiped out, you can get back 15 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
Hasty. Yeah. That's a cool list. Double Mortarch. I mean, you've got 3 wizards in there which have access to arguably one of the best combat spell laws in the entire game, or spell laws for a combat army, rather. You know, it's full of debuffs.
And it's cool, right?
Yeah.
Like the cool models.
It's very cool.
You don't not like even like... Yeah.
It also kind of covers its own back in a load of situations. So you've got, if you look at the 2 Mortarchs in there, they are way faster than everything else in that list by a huge degree. But because of the first round benefit on the save,
they don't need to be near the army.
all the debuff spells, yeah, they could just
go
off
off on their own
anyway,
as a tag
in a
team,
little
or
in a little
individually on each
bubble.
flank, and you just move
Yeah,
this death
exactly.
blob up the middle of the table and go on. What are you gonna do?
You have oh, of course you can. We've been remiss to mention you could pop those skeletons out of in the middle of the table out of grave. Yeah,
which is how I'd play
which
them.
is mental.
And the grave gives them a
Yeah, so
deathless save. They're a +1 save because you're in Legion of Night. You wouldn't get the buffs, but I guess.
fine. Well, with Neffy's debuff, you kind of get the benefit of some of it, don't you? So you can have, if you're worried about them not being able to get there, you can pop them up. You know, you might make a charge. Fine.
You would lose Warlord. Looking at it, actually. Oh no, you wouldn't. No, you've still got 2 heroes. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah. Ignore me. Yeah. Still good.
Nah, they're good. That has
I mean to Monstrous Rampage on all 3 of your Bane units as well. Yeah, blood would work too. You know, I just prefer Night because Manfred's my boy. I think the artifacts are better.
You should save that one, Russ. That should be. We should have some type of diary for saving these.
Yeah,
after
I will
crafting
such
pretty lists.
And I think just to go a bit more deeper, Neferata could be a Covenant Throne. And you've got 8 points left. Now, that's if you want Manfred to be like basically unkillable. Because the command ability on the Covenant Throne, and you could do this on the 30 skellies or on anything else, right? So
it's the ignore wounds thing or something like.
I've got to find it hidden amongst all the war scrolls. So pick 1 friendly Soulblight Graveling unit wholly within 12 into your next hero phase. Add 1 to hit, wound, and save rolls for that unit. So it's your hero phase. So it persists, right?
Yeah.
Nice. No, Melatron, I don't think so. I don't know why. I just like Night. You might be right. It disappoints me. And then you've got the Shudder, which is cast on a 12. Roll 3d6. The roll's greater than the Bravery. The model cannot be basically picked to target any attacks, so you can't attack the Coven Throne. Quite like it. Yeah. It's quite nice. And you've got enough points for the spell mirrors at 70. So you could put the mirrors in to shudder through. So
also another thing that your opponent must stop to potentially help you get off your Van Hells or something like that. Like, you know, the more must stops you got on the list, the more that someone with 3 dispels is going to be put in a sticky situation.
Yeah.
Good night, Glenn. Thanks for tuning in, dude.
I don't know what it is. I think you're better off taking units that do stuff, and if you're not taking Blood Knights, then I think Deathrattle. I don't see the Dead Walker zombie stuff. I just don't see it.
No, I thought they were overrated from day dot. Actually,
they just die
they just die
like that, and it's
that's it.
It's just like
that's it.
You're just paying lots of points for stuff that just doesn't last, and I just think lasting Graveguard. I just really like Graveguard. Don't like the models, but I like them. So anyway, we've talked about Deathrattle enough, and Soulblight over an hour.
We have. So, but before you show any of my list, I thought of something. So can we build one of them and then pop up my helpful notes I took after, because I want to show the process of how you would build this type of thing. Because if we just present it on the screen, then I think we don't get any.
I'll try. Obviously, I don't have I can put the stuff in War Scroll, but the points will be completely wrong. But you know they're right, so we could just say that. It's fine.
Yeah. It also it evens out in the wash. I've got it next to me with notes.
Cool. We'll do that. Then.
So we
take it away, Byron.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get a drink.
So no worries. What we're gonna do here, guys, is I wanted to see if in the new edition it is at all possible to make a Bravery debuff based list. You know, I'm playing Slaanesh, so I'm trying to do it in Slaanesh, but you could do this in Slaves to Darkness. It's not a bad idea in other armies, And something that I'm quite keen on in my armies is to have multiple win cons, multiple conditions on which that you could win the game. It's a phrase from Magic building draft decks. So win conditions could be kill your opponent till they're dead really fast, or being able to shoot someone to death, or being able to outgrind someone, having amazing board coverage, really powerful summoning, a overwhelming magic phase with damage to take away key pieces, something like that. Any army that has multiple win conditions in its toolbox is going to be in a better situation, because you may turn up to the table and find that someone is I always say it's the wrong way around. Someone is rock to your scissors, got it right, and they can just nullify one of your win cons. Maybe you are super aggressive first turn, rar it up the table, hit stuff hard, and they've got 4 screening units that they don't care about giving away, or a pre-game move that just nullifies that or something, when you don't have flying units to hop over. So I just wanted to go on that journey, but we're not going for multiple world cons here. We're going balls deep on the Bravery debuff concept. So yeah, that's it basically. So all I did at the beginning was I read a couple of the new endless spells. I'll touch on what's it called, Malevolent Maelstrom, in a second, and how it works. In fact, actually, I'll write it away. Let's read Malevolent Maelstrom. So
to the book.
Man reads book. We came back to the exciting bit, Russ. So,
We'll
Malevolent Maelstrom. So, Malevolent Maelstrom. It's a predatory endless spell. Can be moved up to 8 and can fly, and you can drop it wholly within 6 inches of the caster when it is cast. So basically, this is a ticking time bomb, and you tick it up by casting other spells within 12, or by models dying within 12. Not models taking wounds, has to be a model being removed from the board. So quite cheap to cast. Casting value of 5, plop it down on the table, and you put a d6 next to it with a 1 facing up. Whenever a spell is successfully cast within 12, or a model dies within 12, you put that dice up by 1. So obviously to a maximum of 6, because the dice doesn't go higher than 6. And then at the end of the combat phase, if the spell is on the battlefield, roll a dice and add the number of the value on the dice next to it. On a 10+, each unit within 12 of this endless spell suffers D3 mortal wounds. The spell is then removed from play. So if you've got that dice to be a 6, and you roll another dice, you have a 50-50 chance. And it's just at the end of the combat phase, not yours. So every combat phase, as long as it's on the table, you've got 50-50 chance of it blowing up, exploding, and damaging everything within 12 taking a wound. So I read that first and thought, well, what if units losing one model was enough to make them care about bravery tests? Because it wasn't really a thing in the last edition. Everything was immune to battle shock, and it was a bit crappy. It was one of my least favorite things about it, actually. So that's where I started the journey anyway, and we've covered it. It's quite a potentially important one. Not sure if you think it's worth its points for us.
How many is it?
In general, it's 85.
My only issue with it is the range, because it's a 6-inch range and it moves 8, so it seems super slow.
Yeah,
but they move at the end of the hero phase, right? So
I'm not so up to speed on endless spells.
What you can do is set it up, then cast your spells to power it up, and then move it forwards.
Charge it up. Yeah, and 12 inches is quite a big aura. So that's a potential 6, 8, 14, 24. It's 24 at its furthest point. So, things within 20 are going to be widely affected. I'll double check.
But it's you as well, isn't it? So it's like
65. Yeah, but I'm playing Slaanesh, mate, so that's not as bad as it would be.
So you've got loads of models because they're so really undercosted, so you can afford to kill your own models, right? Oh, stop it!
I don't have loads of models. That's fine. So anyway, I read this spell and that sent me on the journey. So let's start adding things that fit the theme of debuffing bravery into a list and see where we end up at, and then we can pop up the proper.
Have you got the Maelstrom then?
So, say again, please.
Do you have the Maelstrom? I'll add it.
Yeah, so I have the Maelstrom
It's not
and
10 points
Horrorghast.
anymore. Okay.
It is not 10 points. And Dreadful Visage, which is now 1,000,000 points. For some reason, I forgot that it was at the bottom of the new points in the Slaanesh tome. But that still fits within my points restriction, so it's fine. I left some wiggle room. So we've got 3 endless spells. We are going to need some people to cast those spells, and one would hope that they would be reliable casters. So you don't have many options as far as that goes in Slaanesh. You want people with 2 casts for ticking it up, but also with bonuses of some type. So let's spend loads of points on heroes because we're playing Slaanesh. So we're going to dump in Glutos, and we're going to dump in the Contorted Epitome. Got it. So Glutos
you
is
say it,
400.
and I was like, "Do I been saying it wrong?" And I was like, "No, that's fine."
I don't know actually. People can correct us. So Glutos has +1 to cast. He's got 2 casts, and he's also very resilient and does quite a lot of other stuff. He is very expensive at 475 points, so you could absolutely swap him out for something else. You could
Equally as expensive, like a keeper. Sorry.
Not if you go outside your
Bellicor?
book. So we can ally with Tzeentch, for example, and you could put in. Who am I thinking of? Who gets once a game they get 2 spells and they can use 3d6 on the spells? Is it the Gaunt
Tzaangor
Summoner?
Shaman.
Is it, or is it Tzaangor Shaman? I think that's what they get. So you could put something else in like that, and that would free up a shit ton of points. We're going to stick with this for now, though. Second inclusion hero-wise is the Contorted Epitome, or I won't talk about her pronunciation. Anyway, there's 2 reasons to take this model. One is because it's really efficiently put. No, it's not. So it's got 2 casts. It's got a spell which is on a 7, but you do get to re-roll your casts, which makes that less scary. It's range 24, and D3 units you re-roll ones to hit against them, which is an incredible thing to have access to on turn 1. There are not many spells that are that good for an army that wants to do some damage in combat and with shooting, because it's not melee. So those are our 2 characters. We've got 4 casts, which is enough to tick it up a little bit. Ideally, we'd like a bit more, but I'm fairly sure we should be able to damage things with what we're about to talk about next to get that dice to a 6 to make the most of the Maelstrom, which isn't our only strategy, but I think it could be, a significant part of what we do. So battle line, 5 Hellstriders with Hell Scourges. They're great. They are one of the few things in the book that is really efficiently pointed. They could be more points. They could be 10 more points. They could be 15 more points. They're very, very good. They're fast. They get to reroll charges. And due to their Hornblower, enemies reroll battle shocks of 1 within 6 of the unit, which is a really nice buff. Really, really useful. So, with what we've got coming up next, you'll see why that would be extremely painful for an opponent. We've got 2 of them. They're really good. I run them in darts. They're -1 to hit when they charge. They're just great. They're phenomenal units. Next, we have something that no one will have ever seen before, which is a reinforced unit of Blissbarb Archers, 360 points for 22 of them. Yeah, I know, right?
Are you still in Lurid Haze?
These guys went. Yes.
Okay.
So I'll talk about that in a sec. So these are now 360 points, which is 40 more than they were. Insert complaints here is what it is. They have quite a lot of shots in that unit. They've got 2 shots apiece, 1 extra on the champion. So you've got 42 shots, which are 4s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1, range 18, and they can run and shoot, and they are movement 6. So they can get there without Lurid Haze, but if you wanted to, you could just dump that unit on from the side of the board and completely scatter fire across your opponent's army, and just kill 1 or 2 things here, there, or whatever, or concentrate on 1 character, and that's enough to still probably do a fair bit of damage or delete a screen. Next, we've got. So this is where we start stacking up the Bravery debuffs. So we've not got any Bravery debuffs so far. We've got some synergy to do with it, but we're going to dump in 5 Chaos Knights, -1 Bravery within 3 inches of the unit, not the standard bearer or anything, but the unit. 5 Chaos Marauder Horsemen, -1 Bravery within 6 of them. They can retreat and shoot charge, and they've got 12-inch range on their javs, so some more shooting. Not bad. A Mind Stealer Sphinx, -2 Bravery within 12, you're just going to run that straight up the board. You don't care about its combat potential whatsoever. It can do some cool stuff in your next hero phase. If you or your opponent survive to that, depending what's going on. And then we've got the endless spells. So this adds up to what we've got: -2 bravery from the Sphinx, -1 from the Knights, -1 from the Marauder Horseman, and then you're forcing enemies to reroll with the Scourges. And you've got Glutos, who is a tanky beast and can appear from the side of the board. If you do that, you're not going to get to cast with him. So that is worth considering for people. If you do want to tick that up, if you are using the endless spells, you probably want to start with them on the board for that reason. Chaos Knights get +1 to charge. The Hellstriders get reroll charges, so they're great options to start from the side of the board to start, harrying people with. And the Knights are really important because they're the only thing in the list that's resilient. So they are going to hit your opponent, and they're going to be the thing that's in the way of your otherwise completely squishy army. And that's the entirety of it, basically. It'll show up as whatever points it is, but you can show the real life version of it now we've built it. That 1710 is now 1950, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, you can show the fully fledged version. Now we've gone through the journey of adding it.
Can I?
Yay! Yeah, go for it. Because you'll have made something pretty, won't you?
No, I haven't. I've just literally pasted your email. So.
Okay then.
Well, it was kind of formatted, and I thought I didn't have time. Sorry.
I took notes in a different color. It's absolutely fine. It's useful. So yeah, that's all of the concept of this army. Now, let's talk about what it's broken down into. It's 2 drops. Not many people are going to be less drops than that. There isn't any subtlety with the plan for this, and it does have a concerted plan, which is that every game you are going to bring on your Bliss Barbs from the side of the board if they can get into a good position. If not, you'll run them up and it'll be fine anyway. You're going to cast Maelstrom first with either of them +1 cast. It's on a 5. It's very cheap. I don't know. It'll be re-rolling will be more reliable to get that off, I guess. But stand next to arcane terrain. It's quite important as part of the plan. You put that down, then you cast your Horrorgust, then you cast your Dreadful Visage. That gives -1 bravery within 12. Currently, may change. Its points have gone up, so maybe it's got better. Maybe it didn't, because we're in the Slaanesh battle too. You cast those spells, and then you let loose. You run all of your units forwards, let loose Rain of Hell on your opponent, and scatter your shots absolutely everywhere throughout their army. Then charge in, carefully trying to mitigate any damage that's going to come back to you. And that's basically it. Now, at that point, quite a lot of your opponent's units should be taking battle shock tests, and they will be taking them at somewhere between -3 to 5. Re-rolling 1s, and Horrorgust, which is in there, means that they can't use command abilities in the battle shock phase. So they're just going to take whatever they take. If they roll a 1, it's going to be grim, and Horrorgust makes them take an extra D3 models per unit that fails a battle test. 3. So I think this actually could be
it's wholly
really,
within 12
really
for
damaging,
the endless, isn't it? So, but it's on a 12-inch range and an 8-inch move, so it's quite fast.
I think also your opponent's going to have to get rid of your endless spells in their next phase, so you're probably not going to be taking much magic back.
I'll jump in because everyone's asking. So endless spells is 1 per wizard, so you can't drop all 3 on the first turn, but you can cycle them.
Or you could fail 1 and drop the others.
I think. No, I don't think you can. I think
successfully cast.
Is it? Okay. I'll take your word for it.
I think so. Yeah. I could be wrong. People can correct us if they're wrong. But you've got some options in there. You could swap Glutos out for a couple of other casters if you wanted to be able to always drop all 3 of them then.
You can cast the second one the next turn, though. So you could have all 3.
Yeah.
Right? So, and you'd lose control of one, but it's not so much a big deal.
No, with some of them it doesn't matter too much. You could also give your opponent first turn if the situation allowed for it quite easily, and you will probably have the choice to give that to someone as well. So yeah, it'll get that. It'll get a triumph as well. So the knights will be pretty reliable on the charge. And then when it comes to your opponent's battle shock phase, some really, really mental stuff will happen. You'll take a load of 1 to 3 mortal wounds. So I expect that your depravity would be at maximum being 12. That's all you can, that's the maximum you can summon at. Very, very fast with this.
Yeah, it is what apparently it's 1 attempt per turn for an endless from a wizard.
Okay.
So
cool.
But
how does it deal with hero hammer lists? That is a good question. There's quite a lot of shots in there. I know it sounds like a weird thing, and there's quite a lot of minus to hits and units, and also the sphere ranks. You could be making someone go last and stuff like that. It doesn't deal with 25 blood knights.
We did say it's a techie high concept list that will do well against some things and not against others because you've led into one concept, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Super fun to play with, and probably you could fiddle around with Glutos and see where you could get to with other options. You could put Chaos Chosen in there if you wanted another source of -1. We'll touch on Archeon soon. But yeah, it's I think the shooting would really catch people out actually, because there's quite a lot of high quality shots in there. I would be spaffing that Triumph on the Bliss Barbs if they had a decent selection of good targets. But if someone even Russ's Graveguard wouldn't like to be shot particularly with their +1 save by that, because you're not really bothered about how many you kill as much as you would be in normal situations. But like destruction armies would really, really dislike it, I think. You could be making someone take 7 very unfortunate battle shock tests in one turn quite easily. Yeah, that's it. So we wrote that one, or I wrote that one, and then we took that concept and we added in Archeon. Because he debuffs Bravery, which everyone forgets because it barely comes into things ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he is a solid option. He performs the tank, the required roadblock ability really well. On a smaller board, I think he's just got better. And he's pointed, fairly or efficiently, I would say. You're not paying over the odds for him. He does do quite a lot of things. Good spot, Cookie Monster. Props for your left field thinking. I have written Eroticus version also. It's not here, but yeah, he's a really, really good add-in, and he's far better pointed than a keeper, which is the reason that I've been looking at him. So the Archeon. The bar's not set very high for that, though, is it? So the Archeon version, pretty much the same thing. We have a decision about what we have to point because what we have to drop because some things have gone up in points. But I think this one is really cool, and going on about the multiple win cons, this is debuffing Bravery a lot, less reliant on spells, and with the big man in there, in a way that is, I think, it's more well-rounded, and it, apart from not having the 20 Bliss Barbs, which I really, really like in the other list and think are very, very strong, this one is super interesting. What would you drop for us looking at this one?
I'd be controversial. I don't think the Malevolent Maelstrom's very good.
Sure.
I think the Wheels of Excruciation they do damage. You don't have to do anything techie with it. It's very fast. It's under your control. It's really hard because basically when you play Archeon, you kind of want to make Archeon the focus.
The Archeon show, yeah.
And this kind of says, no, we're going to focus on Bravery, which is fine because actually Archeon,
a lot of it's incidental in this list.
Well, I think
it's not like
Archeon can deal with characters, right?
Yeah.
So with the previous question, it was, can you take can you do a hero list? Well, Archeon is a perfect counter to heroes, and then you've still got the Bravery. So I actually think although it sounds stupid, this is probably a more rounded list than the other one.
Yeah, it is.
So
think so.
I personally, I would probably drop the Marauder Horseman. If you've got to drop something, I don't know how many points they are in
Well,
the
you
new
could.
money and stuff. So,
Well, you could. All those points are correct.
oh, are they correct?
You
Okay,
could. Yeah, everything on the page is correct.
okay.
So you could drop. Well, you could drop either of the endless spells.
Mhm.
You could drop Horrorghast, drop Maelstrom. It's kind of nice pulling command points out of your opponent, which is the only downside to Horrorghast
I mean,
in terms of its
how many
backshot phase stuff.
points is Wheels now? Is it 90 or 100
Yeah,
or
but
80?
I don't know what it does.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So yeah, could be real. I hope it's good for as many points as it is. Slaanesh spells are incredibly expensive. Surprise, surprise. So maybe they've got better. Well, we will wait and see on that one. But the Visage, given that it did like a mortal wound poke and debuff bravery, I thought in the previous one it was safe to assume it would carry on doing something fairly similar, given it's meant to be scary to look at.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think they've changed massively. Maybe this is a bit of a weird one, but why not? Like, I actually think the shards might be quite nice. Because basically, does it do damage? No, it doesn't. I thought it did damage. After these move straight line, you just pass crosses is snared half the movement. No, okay. I thought it did damage
slows
to
people
people.
down.
Yeah,
You could dump it in front of people though while you zap them.
Nah, you want to do damage. So,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it depends. Like, I think the Marauder Horse, like, obviously it's more bodies, so it's good. I think I would drop, yeah, probably one of the spells. I don't think I would want Horrorghast, or I know it sounds really good, but it's got to be whole within 12 of that. And yeah, I know an extra D3 flee, but it's kind of, I'm not sure. I think I might want to just put, depending on what happens with the rules, but I might just put one of the fast does D3 mortal wounds when it moves over you type spells to do damage.
Yeah.
Just not worry about that and just go, well, that gives me depravity. The other thing about your other list that like I was a little bit is just about the summoning points, because you don't have a lot of heroes. I know the Contorted Epitome is kind of weird. It's like, it's really resilient until you shoot it with something with Ren that doesn't do mortal wounds, then it just folds over like a piece of paper. Obviously, Glutus is really resilient, but he's probably not going to have enough space to put stuff around him. I know you could use the Feign as well, so maybe it's not as bad, but then you can smash it to Rebels.
You'd be restricted to summoning in your backfield. That happens quite a lot with the army, though, if your heroes are getting into combat anyway. So it's one of the pluses of having, casters in the backfield with it, is you end up with a much wider variety of where you can place down your summoned units. You could drop the Marauder Horseman and the spells, and then you would open up quite a lot of points.
Could you bump the Blissbarbs back up to 22 then?
Yeah, so I think your two obvious options there are Blissbarbs up to 22 plus some quite a decent amount of spare points, or bump the Knights to the Vanguard and loads of spare points and one drop, which is kind of an interesting one. The Vanguard are obviously incredibly reliable next to Archeon because they hit on 2s. If they're within, I think if they're within 6 of him or something like that.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Like Geminids do basically the combo of the two, where it does damage and it stops you using command abilities, which is probably more until the next start of the next combat phase. So
that's a very good shout. Yeah. Yeah, the Mind Stealer is a unique piece. Went down by 5 points too because it stopped being a monster. But yeah, I think the second one, the concept behind it is, it's not got all of its eggs in one basket, and you get to put out Archeon, and particularly if you did have the 22 Blissbarbs and you ended up being, low drop or whichever way you went with formations. Yeah, because you could be one drop for that list, couldn't you? If you didn't have Marauder Horseman, you'd be 5 units, 2 characters, one of which is a big dude.
Yeah. Which I think is what's in the battle regiment, right? It's 5 units max, isn't it? Yeah. So.
Yeah, it is. So that would be yeah, actually that's pretty
Would you still take Lurid Haze, or would you think about Pretenders for Armor of Arrogance? And
you also got Godseekers has got some really techie stuff in, but you don't quite have the characters to put it on. So yeah, I guess you would go with Pretenders.
No, I think it still is a monster military, but I don't know. I'd have to. It's still got a keyword on its scroll, so I think it's just not a behemoth. So the Mind Sphere. So
yeah, probably. I can check in a second, but yeah. So that's a list in its concept. The one drop version would be pretty tasty. You could just put cogs into that. You know, it's not a bad thing to have at all. If you wanted to lean into the charging and buffs, you could go Godseekers as well. Because I don't think Godseekers is a bad. None of them are bad now. Now the table's smaller. I think Lurid Hess is a much. You know, it's not the obvious choice that it was at all anymore, because you used to unlock +1 to save, which is now everywhere in the game.
Well, so, I mean, it's good because you can do it to different command ability names. You can do it in 2 different places, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not as. It doesn't mean it's awful, but
no, it's not quite as unique. But there's a good reason to be in the other ones.
Yeah. So the dominate mind is, but just look at the Sphinx because I don't really look at it before. So it's in your hero phase, pick an enemy unit. Let me put it up on the screen. It's probably helpful, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, the kitty cat.
So it's
it looks Slaanesh-y as well.
It does look quite funky. Oh yeah, you got to put dice down, haven't you? If they're the same, it doesn't do anything. If they're different, then they fight at the end of the combat phase. Okay, so it's quite useful. Useful in Slaanesh.
Yeah, it's kind of. Yeah, kind
but
of.
But it's the -2 bravery on it, so that's why you got it. So.
Also, I have to remember the Lurid Haze. Nah, you can't mark it Slaanesh. So things that can be marked Slaanesh in Lurid Haze. There's some weird stuff like you can use the Lurid Haze move to put Chaos Knights off the board. I know. I don't think you can do it to put the Mind Stealer off the board, but that would have been a cool option if you could.
Well, technically, it's it doesn't gain the keyword. It's an ally, right? I don't know. We'll have to wait. Yeah. We have to wait for the FAQs because there's going to be some wankery with the coalition rules and stuff. But I'm sure you can take it. As to whether it's an ally or not, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. It's just whether you can pop it on from 9 inches away. That would obviously put a load of people potentially being debuffed. But yeah, that's a super tasty one. And swapping in for Vanguard, they are cool. They are especially cool next to Archeon, and that is the definition of a resilient front line. So yeah,
I think the Vanguard are a good shout because obviously Archeon buffs them and they're cool. Less models to paint. They count as more models than 5 knights technically for objective catcher.
Yeah,
because you get 6 rather than 5. Yeah, because they've got 5 wounds.
And they also, once again, they get to
fight
twice as well, which would be super useful for deleting a screen to allow Archeon to go into a hero or something like that. But yeah, I think that adjusted version is actually has legs. Right, definitely. And I think people wouldn't expect you to, if there's something that you couldn't grind through in the conventional way, often they're the units that really wouldn't want to have the bravery debuff stuff going on.
Yeah,
Spells wise on your peeps, actually is a possible for taking the bravery debuff spell, which no one's ever taken as an option in the game before. But
is that a Law of Slaanesh or is that like?
Yeah, it's Law of Slaanesh. I'll grab my book and read it.
I've got to bow to your judgment because I only know the heal spells.
I am the same because all of the others are awful, but this list, because it's weird.
I'm pretty sure, Stubble, you're right about it doesn't need the Slaanesh keyword for that, but if it's not part of a Slaanesh army, it doesn't gain the keyword. So, because the Mind Stealer doesn't have a keyword, it doesn't gain Lurid Haze technically. But yeah,
it's a techie one, isn't it? I know that knights can, but I can't quite.
Why have chaos got to be hard?
You could. So you could take, right? Because Slaanesh loves the pain.
Loves being hard as well.
Phantasmagoria.
Sorry.
Casting value of 7, one enemy unit within 18. If the blah 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 blah. Roll 6 dice for each 5+, subtract 1 from that unit's bravery. So if you wanted to bully a unit, you could. And if someone else has the heal, then what else are you going to take? Basically. So yeah, there's a couple of options. You could also take Purveyne of Slaanesh, but it's got really short range, and that's only really useful on Sinessa, because then you get to ignore the range.
I mean, Archeon would be in the middle of everything, right?
Yeah, you would do. So second turn, you'd get to you bully people according to their movement value. Purveyne of Slaanesh, which makes it kind of interesting. So a load of really big stuff might be more scared of it. Roll a dice equal to that hero's move characteristic. For each 5+, they take 1 mortal wound.
So the more wound speed they are, the better.
Yeah, so if someone's on a zombie dragon, you know, you're rolling
dice,
14 dice, which is really quite powerful actually for a 6 or whatever it is. But it's just really, really short range. So yeah, that's it. I think that scriffied version that we just chatted through with the Vanguard, which involves me painting slightly less models until we talk about the Bliss Barbs, but I've worked out a way around that. That could be a really tasty list. It'd also look very cool. And if you want to have a list that turns up with a plan, this is the definition of that. You know, you can literally write out your stuff, rock up, do that, win or lose, have a beer, and then go on to your next game, which is kind of nice actually. Sometimes I think
it's quite techy, isn't it? I mean, it's there's stuff you could probably do with redeploy to get into range of stuff to debuff it as well.
Yeah,
I definitely think Gemini. I mean, Gemini's, the problem is like they don't really stop you using battle shock command abilities because it's to the combat phase, right? So it only really stops you doing, because it says that after this end of spells move, roll dice for each unit added models passed across for each other unit within 1. 2+ take a mortal wound. In addition, mortal wounds caused by this ability to allocate to a unit. You cannot issue or receive command abilities until the start of the next combat phase, but you're doing it in your hero phase. So the next combat phase is before the battle shock phase, because that's when it moves. So
yeah,
you're only really stopping Unleash Howl, redeploy, charges, runs.
I understand what you're saying.
It's not going to stop all out attack, all out defense, because that happens in the combat phase, and it's not going to stop battle shock immune. So if you want the battle shock immunity, you need to take Horrorghast, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, what you can do, because they're going to, the thing is about 3, right? You can only do 1 unit anyway, so you don't really need to stop them doing it, because they just make them do it in multiple places, and they can't make them immune.
Yeah.
So you just go, well,
without a CP, which is never a good thing,
and it burns a CP, and you almost just force them to spend their resources. Sometimes, like, that's why Horrorghast is a bit weird. It's cool because you get extra D3 run away, but they can only do it once. So as long as you spread your damage and your bravery out, it's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love double mortis engine.
I'll have a shuffle, write a Vanguard version of that, and see where it ends up with points and options and stuff. And obviously, with us having a date for the FAQ now, we might know what's going on with exactly how our ID work. I don't think that'd change it overly, but
no. I might try out the Deathrattle list. I've got a couple games tomorrow, so like Forest Les coming around, so I think Forest is using Kairos and Archeons in Charmy, so that'll be fun, right?
No.
So I might take the Graveguard Skelly Wobble list and see how it goes, and I might play both of those variants. I just think like it's like push it around the table, see how it feels. If I can take like Archeon, what I'm worried about is Archeon just sword in my Manfred, so it's quite. But I mean, I guess he's never going to get to, right, because he's going to charge me. I'm just going to teleport away because I'm never gonna let him fight me. I'm never going to charge him. So all I've got to do is tar pit him with Skelly Wobs. So hopefully Forrest isn't watching this. I'm going to shut up. Sorry.
Interesting one.
Yeah, I think you're right, David. It is very strong. So, but obviously, once I've played some games, I'll report back on it so we can see. But I do like these Slaanesh armies because they are like a little bit different.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that comes out of the book is different. I think there'll be there'll be some dust settling time and some figuring out more of the game, and some things may come in and out. But there's a lot of solid concepts in there. Also, the moment you dip into other books for allies, you don't feel like you're overpaying so much. So the Chaos Knights are a very good inclusion. Vanguard are a solid option. You know, stuff like that makes a difference. Archeon, you're paying a lot, but you're also getting a huge amount. And what Slaanesh lacks is something to pin your opponent while you do techie stuff around them. He is a great option.
Did you think about your grand strategies?
No, because Slaanesh is awful at them generally.
But Archeon gives you a really good way to get them, right?
Yeah.
Because if you keep a wizard alive, he's a wizard, right? He's keeping a monster alive, he's a monster. You could go some of the, because he is everything, right? So I mean, obviously you play wizard because Contorted Epitome is also there if you lose him. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Archeon, I actually think will help you with your missions. I think he mitigates the hero hammer, and you've got a good army for dealing with armies that have got MSU. Because MSU would be a problem, right? Because Archeon would be like, I can't be everywhere. But because of the units supporting him and the bravery debuffs and the battle shock spread and the shooting and the Hellstriders and stuff chipping wounds places, you're basically going to force the MSU army to take battle shock tests across the board. And even if they're like bravery 7 or like, what's a wind charge? Are they bravery 7 or 8? I don't know. Like Lumineth is probably like 10, right? I mean,
quite a lot of stuff is like of that type is like 5 to 7, like 6 and 7 more commonly.
Yeah. So if you
can
go in
and to like -4,
yeah,
and do a couple of wounds, they're still really worried about it.
And I think like you could, even if you kill like one model, right, and they're within 12 of Archon, they'd be -2. They'd have to re-roll the 1. Maybe there'd be -1 bravery if they were near the Marauder Horseman. Maybe another 2 from the Syrinx. So it could be like -5. So if you kill one model, that's -6. If they're bravery 7, if they roll a 1, they're okay, but they got to re-roll that 1. So anything 2 or more, they lose a model, right?
Exactly. So, that was my thinking when I was writing it. And the Blitzbab Archers might also just wipe them out. If there's something you definitely need to kill, and you can't do any bravery stuff with it, 20 shots, or 4s, which you would probably buff to be 3s. So 3s, maybe re-rolling the 1s because the epitome. 3s re-rolling 1s followed by 3s, which could be 2s with a triumph, which you would probably have with this army. That is very reliable. That's enough to, take out a hero if someone's taken a couple of wounds already as well. Even an elite hero like a Dragon Rider or something like that. So there's definitely options in it. And I would enjoy playing with it for sure. I think it looks like the type of thing that would be quite satisfying if you could make it work.
I think the Archeon list is better.
Like, yeah, I think so too.
I think because it's rounded. Like it's got you a bit more options. I know people are saying it's not really a Slaanesh list. Well, it's got a Slaanesh in it. It's fine. He's got the head knight keyword. It counts, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he does. He's the most points of Slaanesh you can get in one model. So.
Yeah, exactly. I am curious. Like, what is the? I'm going to derail this quickly because I did mention in the Nagash list, right? I just want to. I've just got this like. This hankering, just to see what we get in. Then we can wrap it up because we've talked about this enough. I'm not saying this is any good, so don't quote me, right? I'm just gonna put stuff in and see if it fits because we were speaking about. I put him in by
Cookie Monster at the points that the Sorcerer Lord barely went up. I'm not sure if he's going to end up as good as he is now, and if he is, it's a joke. So we'll see when the dust settles with the FAQ if he's still that good for 115 points or whatever he's come out as, because it's a bit crazy.
Because he's going to go in, right?
He does.
Like,
just paying 115 points and getting stuff that reliable is fairly unprecedented in the game. And a caster.
I mean, it's not terrible, right?
I'm watching this on delay, so we haven't got to see what happens yet.
The White King's going to be the general. Of course he is. Yeah. Ooh.
The Gash and 15 Blood Knights has just been positive.
Yeah, I know, but it's too obvious, man. Come on.
Yeah. Would look cool though. I always like Nagash Nexus more. His more
just
gasts.
I'm just all about the Deathrattle and the White King at the moment. I know it's not the best. Just leave me alone.
That is a cool looking army, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it couldn't look more undead if it tried.
No. I mean, what if you did... What do you need for the reinforcement? Oh, no, you'd need... Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do that. Because... I mean, it's just a different list, really, isn't it? If you... Yeah, you'd have a battle line. Yeah, something like that. Don't know. It's not working. It's all right. 40 points left. Who knows? You could go for a White King on foot. You don't really care about the one steed.
Your Arachnarok would attacks would get the +1 wound from Finest Hour.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I believe it affects the whole model, Mark. So the spider is finest as well as the rider. I mean, the spider's probably better than the rider, right? So it's fine.
Yeah,
that works.
Spider's quite solid in this edition, actually. I think
I quite like the Skitter Strand stuff coming up in their territory for the capture.
Yeah,
because I like the one on horse war machine. It doesn't have to be logical. For 15
Also,
points, you get the speed, you get mortal wounds on the charge, you get extra wounds, you get better save. He's just cool.
Yeah,
I might not have a better save, but he's just better. He looks cool. He's a better
Yeah.
model. And I don't own
for
him on
a few more. For a few more points, you're getting enough for it to be easily justifiable.
Yeah, I really wanted that, but it doesn't fit. 30 points over. Oh well. Just have to argue Nagash's points down next time. No. It's really funny. I haven't actually played Nagash, and I think I need to because I'm a fan.
I think you do. He's an interesting one.
Yeah.
He's so flexible now as well.
Just been able to drop Mystic Shield on all those units as well. It's good.
Or just to give yourself 4 arcane bolts to wipe out a screen before you. Yeah,
Lightning bolt.
So much cool stuff.
Lightning bolt. Just turn him into like a proper nerd. Like, I'm gonna cast lightning bolt 4 times, and then I'm gonna throw a cast because I was watching like 2+ Tough's lore stuff, and he was saying that basically like Teclis and Nagash is like the battle of the nerds, and I was like, Nagash isn't a nerd. He's cool, right? I know he carries like 9 books around with him, but like he's cool, right? Was it 8 books? Someone's gonna lore check me.
If he was that cool, you would have run him in an army, Russ. So maybe you need to run him to back him up.
I know, but I feel like he's almost like he shouldn't be represented on the table because then Nagash can die and Nagash should never die.
Do you best for him? I've always loved him on the table. I think he's a super interesting piece.
Yeah. I will at some point put a Nagash list out. I don't know whether he'd be better in OBR or in Soulblight, but
he's good in OBR, like the shenanigans with damaging yourself and teleporting and doing later stuff.
Just depends what happens with the FAQs. War Machine, I really doubt there'll be any points changes on the FAQs because the handbook is the points. So like I think it's just going to be rules and erratas. I didn't read the article, but I think verbatim, if I look at the Discord where I think Drew posted it, let's have a quick looky. What did he say? Alongside the new edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, we will update all our existing designers' commentaries, errata. We will cover all the burning questions you might have about how your faction works in the new edition. We'll let you know if previous designers' commentaries errata still apply. For example, there'll be an errata for each battle tome to ensure unique wizards can still be given spells from the relevant spell laws, which is one thing people are talking about. These will all be published right here on Warhammer Community within days of the launch of Dominion set on the 3rd of July. So it's within a couple of days of the launch on 3rd of July, so not necessarily on the 3rd.
Oh.
If any of you have...
Do bear in mind how much...
Yeah, go on.
I was just going to say, do bear in mind, guys, how much stuff they are trying to cover and then translate into different languages right now. The biggest FAQ that's ever been, so...
Yeah, and I would say if any of you got any questions for stuff that might be a little bit fringe, if you put it in the Discord, in the rules channel, I will feed it back to the rules team. So if it's there because I know that I think the FAQ's coming. There's going to be another one in a few weeks after to capture everything. Because they normally do 2 cycles, don't they? Do one immediate one and one straight after. So if there's anything like that, like if you're like my model that nobody really takes, I take all the time, and I think it doesn't really work, or I've got a question, pop it in there, and I can like add it to the list and make sure it gets eyes on for the studio, and then maybe that you'll get answers. So it's obviously they've got an email address for that anyway, but if you want it to, I can collect it and add it in as one. So if you put it in the rules channel on the Discord, I'll sweep them up, send them in. I can't promise you answers, can't promise you're going to like the answers, but I'll do my bit.
Fantastic. So, and no, not hope for Slaanesh points for a while. I agree with Stub. I think it's probably going to be a fair bit, but we'll
unless the errata says something crazy like just look at the back of the book and ignore the General's Handbook, but I don't think that's going to be happening. So I do think that's a good house rule, though. I would say.
Yeah. If anyone's running an event, the points there are absolutely fair. They even fix things that I think have now been made too cheap. So
yeah, because house strategies shouldn't be 135, right?
No, they shouldn't.
No. And I think Seekers
No,
went down as well to 140. And they should do 150.
Seekers went down by 10. Yeah,
that makes
like
no sense.
They could be. Yeah, either of those, but the Hellstriders, especially as their battle line, it's like, yeah, I don't think anyone was moaning too much about them. So yeah, you could just use the old points if running an event, and that would be absolutely fair. That's my seal of approval.
Right. I think that'll about wrap it up for this show. Thanks for joining in this live show. We do have a special premiere Sunday night with Kirioth, who came on to
John came
jump in to Age of Sigmar from, he's mostly a 40k player. He's got quite a big YouTube channel, so go check that out. He talks about all things Games Workshop, models, hobby. Super nice bloke. And we basically talked about how to go into a list, and we basically went off on his journey of crafting his first army list. I think he's put a little video up talking about it already. It's a little 12-minute video. So check him out. But that's Tremors on Sunday. So obviously join in the chat there. We'll be doing some more content on the scenarios from the General's Handbook, and I'm hoping that probably another live show next weekend where we've got some games, and I hope the FAQs are out. When they're dropped, we will do a show on those. And yeah, but again, just a reminder, sign up for the Patreon, the YouTube members, Ko-fi. It helps us upgrade our equipment, get microphones, pay the hosting costs, compensate for the time, but also allows us to keep generating content, and also it gives you a chance to win a Dominion or cheers, much I appreciate that, Dominion or element vouchers or dice or objective markers. Or if you want to just buy dice and objective markers, they're super cool. I would say that, but I do actually rate them as a product. So
they're incredibly useful, and while you're managing the mental load of an entire new edition, they're the most useful they've ever been, I think. At this point, make things super clear, and they're just one less thing to think about, and stuff's nice and obvious. So yeah.
Okay, and consider being part of the militia or the Legion, I should say. And thanks to everyone who has supported. And if you want some more personalized lists, then there's still champion spots available. I've only got 20 available, so once they're gone, they're gone. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you all again soon.
Catch you in a bit, guys. Bye.
Laters.